Now let's start. Now, what exactly we are doing today? Quick recap from yesterday's session. We spoke about Maven. Okay, so, so we saw how exactly we can build, package, test Java application using Maven commands. Okay, and that was we saw how easy it is to set up Maven and how easily we can do all the packaging and testing part with Maven. Now implementing the same thing with pipelines. Now the application would be different over here. Let me share you the use case first, what exactly we are doing. Post that, we'll set up a build and release pipeline for deploying Maven application. This is how this Maven application will look like. Not a Maven application, guys. To be very specific, this will be a Springboot, Java Springboot application. So basically, if I run the application on my local host and if I put in this module increment by 99, so what it will, I'll get a revert of 100. So the calculation will happen basically. So this is what my Spring Boot application, and the Spring Boot application works on port 8080. Okay, so this is how my Spring Boot application will work. When I run this command application on port 8080 and try to do an increment, then I'll get a 100 number back. Okay, that is one module. The other module, I have a compare module. So basically this compare module will compare it with if the number is greater than 50 or less than 50. If it is greater than 50, it will give you it is greater than 50. If it less than 50, it will give you less than 50. This is the second module what I have in my application. The third is the home page where it will display welcome to DevOps course. The simple page it will display welcome to DevOps course. So there are three calls which we can do using this application. First call, second call, and this is the home page. Okay, now this is the first part of my application over here. This is first part of my application. Now the second part is something I'll talk about later, wherein I got Node.js also in it. But for now, this is the part which we will work on. This is the application, and this is how the application will look like when we deploy the application on Azure Web App. Okay, this is Java Spring Boot application which we will build using Maven. Whatever we learned yesterday, that is something, keeping that in mind, we'll build this application. Come back, this is my Java application over here. Let me remove all this for now. Okay, this is my application, guys. Now this is how exactly the folder structure looks like. Main test when you run it with Maven. Now if I go into your Java, com, DevSecOps, now these are the places where my information is there. These are the controllers. Now if you want to look into this file, again, nothing to do with what exactly is written. It's up to you what you're doing. Now this is basically calling the controller. Now what exactly is mentioned in the controller, let's go and see it. This is just good to know information, guys, nothing to do what you're doing. Now as I said, there are three. First, it is the home page which is displaying welcome to DevSecOps course. Second, it is comparing, basically it is checking if the value is greater than 50 or less than 50. Third, it is incrementing the value. Okay, these are the three API calls. Okay, this increment thing will not work because for the increment to work, we need to have this Node.js service up and running. Then only the calculation is basically happening on the Node.js. So that part I'm not doing right now. We'll see it later. For now, we'll stick with Java Spring Boot. Okay, this is what my application is. And with my application, I got some tests as well. Test cases. There are three test cases in this. We'll see the three test cases also. And all this integration will happen with Azure CI/CD pipeline, guys. We'll not do it manual. We'll do it through pipeline. Yesterday we saw how exactly things are things can be run manual. Now see this, it is checking if it is comparing and it is throwing any exception. So there are 3 exceptions which I have mentioned over here. Okay, so this is what my application is. This is just you you to have a good to know knowledge, and I got the POM file also over here. Now this is what my POM file looks like, model version 4.0.0, and this is all the plugins what I have inside my. See, there are so many plugins. I'm also using a Jacoco plugin over here. So all this mentioned over here. Okay. Now let's go and test this and see how it works. I'm just removing this part for now. I'll tell you the reason why did I remove it. Okay, I'll tell you the reason why did I remove that part. Okay, because I'll show you when we add code coverage thing, then I'll show you where to add and how to add the plugin exactly in the form.xml file. That is something I'll show you later. Okay, so let's go to our project. The first thing is we need to create a repository, a separate repository for a Java project. Okay, we can name this as Java Springboot. Okay, I can have some git ignore file, Java git ignore. So basically what will happen, automatically a .git ignore file will be created related to Java, and all the extra files like log files, tar file, war files, R file, everything should not be part of your repository, will get ignored. See this. I'll have clone this. Okay, so this is getting cloned on my local. Perfect. Let's go inside this. Okay, I need to copy 2 things from my existing repository. I need to copy the source file. I need to copy this POM file. That's it. Nothing else is needed. I'll copy to my own repository. I'll share these projects with you guys. Don't worry. Make sure just copy these 2 things. Don't copy my Git file or don't copy my any other file, because if you do that, you'll not be able to push to your own repository. You'll start getting error. So it's better just stick with these 2 files. Okay, I added Java app, git push. Perfect. Now I got my Java application up over here. Okay, so we got my Java application. Everything is looking good. Now what we need to do, we need to have a build pipeline created. Okay, so let's go and create a build pipeline. Let's go to the pipeline section, and I'll be creating YAML only, guys, now. So let's see. Click new pipeline. I'll select, we don't have a YAML file right now. I will be creating the YAML file from scratch. Okay, we don't have YAML. So I'll select Azure repos where my application is residing right now. I'll select Springboot. Now, if you see this particular uh, plugin is very smart. Automatically, it is detecting that this is a Maven application, and it is giving you suggestion. Do you want to use Maven existing template? Do you want to deploy it on web app, or do you want to start all new? Now, if suppose you said, no, I don't want to use Maven, but I do want to use Ant or Gradle. So if you come down, you can see Ant also. Now, if you come down, you will see Gradle also. So it's all there. Whatever you want to use, it's totally up to you. In my case, I'll just use the vanilla one, the Maven vanilla template, and see what all things we have inside this. Okay, so let me remove this part. Okay, now if you see, go through this build, what exactly they have written. You got some sort of trigger. The trigger is set on the main branch. You got the agent pool. So this agent pool is, this time you got Ubuntu latest. Why do we need Ubuntu? Because this is a Java application. So will be Ubuntu is the right choice, not just Ubuntu. Linux is the right choice for building and deploying a Java application. Okay, this is your build step. That's it. You got your pom.xml file. Your pom.xml file is there. You got your Maven option. This Maven option is nothing but, if you read through it, this is the memory utilization for building this project. So this is 3072 divided by 3. It is 1024. 1024 is 1 GB of RAM. So this is 3, 1024, 2048, 3072. So this is the memory utilization for building this Java application. This is the JDK version needed. For Java Maven to work, we need JDK, remember. And architect is x64. Do you want to publish a test result? So we got JUnit test cases in this, correct? So because of JUnit test cases set to true, your test cases will also run. And we'll see how through the pipeline the test cases runs. Okay. And then we got some test result files. I want to store this file to this location, test.xml. This is the location. And at the end, my goal is to create a package. So basically, Maven package command will get executed. When the Maven package command gets executed, then at that time, what will happen? Your validate, compile, test, and at the end, the package gets created. Are we all aware? This is something we did manual. Now this 7 line of codes are doing the exact same thing. That is automatically. Okay. Now this particular artifact will be created elsewhere, because this is all are getting executed on this agent pool. This agent pool is Microsoft hosted agent pool. We don't have access to it. I need to copy these files. Okay, I need to copy my package which will be created, the jar war, whatever package will be created. I need to copy that. So basically, I need to have a copy task added to this. So copy file, this is the one from the source folder to the target folder with pattern matching. So source folder is basically, this is system default working directory. Now we need to go back to this predefined variables. And if you look for system.default, see system default working directory, this is the predefined parameters. If you use, this is the local path on the agent where your source code files are downloaded. So everything will be downloaded at this location, and we need to get these files from this location. Okay. And target folder, Target folder is nothing but your build artifact staging directory. As we know what exactly this directory is, files are kept at this location before it pushed to the drop location. Remember ASP.NET, or I forgot. The local paths on the agent where any artifacts are copied before being pushed to the destination. Destination is what? Drop location. Okay, that is what we are doing. And what content you want? I just want jar file over here. I can do this way. It will go and do the content matching for me. Now over here I am aware that it's a jar file, but mainly you'll not be aware. So there is a different way of doing things. Let me show you. Let me open the documentation page. So this is the best way of doing a content matching in Java projects. Okay, even this will work, guys. The way I have written, even this will work, but this is to be very specific. Under the target folder, this question mark basically is checking whether it's a war or a jar file, and based on that, it will copy the content for you. This question mark, war, and there's a pi sign in between, and then jar file. Okay, so even this is more sophisticated way, because if you're not sure whether it's a jar or a war file, what you will do? So the such things will help. Okay, now this is, you got your copy file task, system default working directory, target folder, and it will go and check. So remember when we were running Maven, your jar file was getting created inside a target folder, correct? That is what we are seeing it over here now. Okay, this is your copy task. Why exactly are we using copy task? Because I want to access this package which is getting created. Okay, without accessing the package, how will you deploy? Hence, I need to have this copy task, and after that, I'll have a publish task which will publish everything to my drop location. This is the same thing I'm repeating, guys, which whatever I did in .NET, nothing different, is the same thing. Just let me know if there's anything, any confusion. Okay, I'll stick with this drop location naming convention, and I'll have this drop added. That's it. We got a build ready. We have the Maven task running. We got the copy task. We got the things getting copied into my drop location. I have my YAML file ready. I'll just save this. Rename it. This is build. Okay, let's go to all. You can see the build has not started yet. Let's run it once. Okay, what did we do? We got a Java Spring Boot application. I've cloned the Java Spring Boot application on my local, then pushed it to my remote repository. From there, we have created a build pipeline. The build is very simple. We just got Maven package command getting executed, and we are running the JUnit test cases. There are 3 JUnit test cases already written. That's a responsibility of a developer to write a JUnit test cases, not ours. Then we got the copy task, because we need to copy the things from the agent pool to the drop location. Hence, I'm putting it into a build artifact staging directory. So that is the place where all artifacts are copied. Then from there, I'm using the publish command. I'm putting things into my drop location. Now that is what we did with this Spring. So see what exactly has differ. In .NET application, we were using VS Build, and we were using NuGet. Over here, we are using Maven. and we're using maven package command to do the entire thing. Okay, so nothing much differs. Now this is, if you see, your build was successful. Now let's go to Java Spring Boot. Let's go to this. And the first thing is go to one publish. Now there are 17 MB. So this how big your application is. See, you got a jar file which is of 17 MB, 17 MB. Okay. Now this jar file I can deploy it on Azure Web App wherever I want. That is something we'll see in a minute. But before that, let me show you. Along with this, under the test and coverage, we got something over here. 100% test. So I said that there were 3 test cases, and this is the test cases, guys. 100% passed, the duration it took. And if you want to know more about, if you want to know the XML file which got created, the XML file will be created in the test plan. If you go to the runs, you can see the run explorer and you can see one run. Okay, and if you click over here, you will have more summary loading up over here. All this is loading to it from the XML file. And if you come down, there's a zip file which is the result over here. If you download the zip, you get all the XMLs inside the zip. That is what we have mentioned in the build pipeline. Okay, so this is how the test results and everything is visible to the developers once they execute the build pipeline. Okay, this is what Java build looks like. Okay, this is how you'll be building a Java Maven application. Later we'll add code coverage and many things to this build pipeline. For now, we'll stop over here and we'll deploy this application. Anyone, any questions till now? Anyone? Any doubt? Questions with Java Maven application? Very simple, guys. Nothing alien with it. Is the using the same template, the existing templates we have created this build. The only thing is I've added two additional tasks just to get the files and the report in my drop location. That's it. Okay. Now for deployment, I can do one thing. I can add again. I can do the same thing of stages, and I can put the deployment over here itself. That is quite possible. But let's not complicate things and let's go back to the releases tab over here, and let's create a release pipeline, a new release pipeline over here. Okay. So I'll be using classic method for releasing. But yeah, this is, you can, even if you want to fall back to the ASP.NET YAML, have multiple stages and have your deployments task added to your YAML itself, quite possible. It's the same way you have to do the way we did it with ASP.NET. Nothing will change. The only difference is in place of zip file, you'll have a jar file, and in place of a Azure Web App deployment task, you need to have this task. Deploy Java application to Azure Web App. This is the task which you need to select. That's it. Okay. That is only difference you'll have. Now I make it dev. Let me remove this trigger option for now. Let's add an artifact. This time I can go and refer to the build pipeline directly. So this is my Java Spring Boot application. So I've selected that. Add. Okay, let's name this as Java Web App, release Web App. Okay. Now there are, in Java deployment, there are two ways of deployment, guys. A war deployment, wherein if you have a war file, or a jar deployment. In my case, we have a jar file. So I'll just remove this war part. Okay. Now, how do I create the web app at the first place? I don't have a web app created. So I can go and integrate my ARM template one way, which is we have already seen it. Or the other way is I can create web app using Azure CLI commands. I can have Azure CLI added over here, and I can create my web app using Azure CLI command. Now this is again a way of managing your resources, cloud resources directly from the command line. Now I'm not running this command on my local. I can even run this on my local and create the application web app. I'm not doing that, guys. I'll be using pipelines. I want to automate everything. I don't want to do anything manual. Okay, so let me set this up by shell. Script path is inline script. Where exactly the script is? So I have the script written over here in this documentation, guys, which I'll share with you. Now the command is, this is what we will create the resource group. The resource group name is myapp.rg. This command will basically create the service plan. The service plan name is myapp service plan, and it's a Linux based service plan what we are creating. The third is, this is a place where my web app will be actually created with my resource group, under the resource group with this service plan, and this is the name of my web app. Now let me change the name to something else. Valaxy 123 hyphen dev. Hopefully no one is using this name. And this is the requirement Java runtime 8 JRE 8. This is a requirement which we have it over here. Okay, so this is a Java requirement. I just need to copy this command entirely, put it over here. Now what it will do, it will automatically go and create the web app for me. Once the web app is created, it can basically go and deploy the application on the web app also. Okay, now this is, I'm hard coding the values over here, guys. My resource group name is hard coded, my service plan name is hard coded, my web app name is hard coded. We all know now, if I want to use pipeline variables in order to avoid this hard coding, how we can do it. Hopefully we all know. Let me give you a demo again. I can go to my variable section. I can go to resource group. I can just write resource group. I'm just doing one of it. What is the value of it? I'll put in the value in my pipelines. Mark this for my release dev. Copy this part. Come to my tasks section. And what I can do, how do I call it? How do I call variables over here? Anyone?
Dollar and then the brackets, and then you put the variable name.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. This is how you can avoid hard coding things. Okay, guys, keep this in mind. This is what something you need to do it. Okay, same way I can do it for my app service plan name. Same way I can do it for my web app name also. Okay, it's up to you. Make sure to try this. Don't hard code values. Keep a practice of defining everything as variables. Okay, now let's save this. Create release. Release 1 got created. Now let's deploy it manually. Let's wait while the deployment is happening. Okay, a CLI creation command is running right now.
Hi, quick
Yeah.
question. So if I wanted to make the values, like if some of the values were sensitive and I didn't want them to come up in the logs, can you do that in
Some of the
here?
values are sensitive, such as like all these logs which you're talking about.
Yeah. If I wanted something to come up, like so it didn't show. So maybe there was a password or something, and I didn't want it to show in the logs. Is there a
No.
way?
So the password and things will not be, this is not the way. So in my third project, the database project, what we have, there is a topic called Key Vault. It's again a security topic. That
Okay.
I'll show you how do we integrate that vault with pipelines. At that time, I'll show you how do we pass sensitive values in the vault, which will not be visible anywhere in your pipeline. So
Awesome.
that is something we'll cover, don't worry. So that is my third project, database automation. In that, I'll show you, don't worry. Okay. Now, guys, if you see, we got the web app created successfully. Now, this is the logs, which you can find out. Now, if you see, the deployment is happening right now. Your deployment is in place. Your zip file is getting deployed. In the meanwhile, let's go back to the portal and see. Okay, let's go to all resources. Okay, now if you see this, Valaxy 123 dev got created. Is it deployed? Successfully deployed web package. Where is the URL? Let's go and open the URL. This is the URL. Let's try and access this URL. Let me open a different browser. Welcome to DevSecOps course. This is the home page. Now the second one was compare. Correct. That was the page compare. If I put 55 greater than 50, if I put something less than 55, 40 smaller than 50. This is, and the increment thing will not work. As I said, the increment for that you need to have a Node.js where the calculation happens. So this is one part of your application. So if you see, this is your Java Spring Boot application, which is successfully deployed on Azure Web App using Azure CI/CD pipeline. Okay, anyone? Any questions? Any doubt? Now this is wherein I did creation. Now I want to use my pipeline itself for deletion also, for deleting everything. So I can just clone this entire task, and this one I'll name it as deletion. Now for deletion, I can do one thing. There is a resource group delete command. I can just execute this. This will go and delete my entire deployment, whatever we did. Okay, now let's save this, create a release. And this time when I have created release 2, but this time what I'll do, I'll go and edit this release. I'm editing the release right now, guys, not the actual pipeline. Keep that in mind. Editing the release and disable this creation task and this deployment task. Only my deletion task will get executed. what will happen? It will go and run the deletion and it will remove the resource group. And when the resource group is deleted, everything inside the resource group, such as your service plan, your web app, everything will be removed automatically. Okay. Any questions, any concerns, any doubt? Anyone? This is your Java applications, guys. Now I'll be sharing this Spring Boot application with you all. I'll be sharing the documentation. So whatever I did, it's there in the inside this documentation. With the YAML file is also there. Okay, just go through it. And the Maven command, the yesterday Maven command which I showed you, it's also there in this documentation. Just go through it. Okay. There is one more topic wherein I wanted to cover of code coverage. Again, a security topic over here. Unlike JUnit test, let the deletion will happen automatically, guys. So let's come back to your build pipeline section. Come back to this section. Now over here, if you see, there is an option called setup code coverage. Now there is no code coverage as of now in your pipeline. Okay, code coverage is what? What do you understand with the word code coverage? So code coverage is nothing but it's a testing technique. It's a white box testing technique. It is performed to verify the extent to which the code has been executed. Okay. So basically, code coverage tools, what they see, till what extent the source code which is getting executed has been tested. That is what code coverage see. So they basically the output is in percentage. It will show you the percentage whether 80% of your code is tested, 90% of your code is tested, or less than 60% of your code is tested. That percentage is given to you basically. Okay, so code coverage is nothing but it's a metric that can help you understand how much of your source code is tested. Again, repeating myself, code coverage is a testing method metric that can help you understand how much of your source code is tested. Like your written JUnit test. Okay, based on the JUnit test, your source code, your application is getting tested. Now, if the code percentage is less than 50, then your manager will tell you go and write some more test cases so that other part of the code is also been covered. This way, you should at least have 85 to 90% of your percentage metric when you're running the code coverage. Okay, so this is just a good to know knowledge, but I will show you how do we implement code coverage in a pipeline and how do we get the code coverage report also. Okay, there are many tools, code coverage tools available in the market. Okay, for Java, you can use Jacoco. Jacoco stands for Java code coverage. Okay, we can use Jacoco. There is a tool called Cubatura. There are tools like SonarQube. All this they do code coverage. Okay, there are many tools in the market available, guys. I'm just naming few of them. Okay, so let's go and implement this code coverage tool. Now, in order to implement, I'll have to come back to my local. Let me do a git pull quickly. Why I'm doing git pull? Because there are incremental changes now. Perfect. Now let me open my application. Let me open the pom.xml file. As I said, anything you want to do in Java application, you need to have the pom.file updated. Without the pom.file, you cannot do anything. So come down, there is a plugin requirement. So what did I say? We'll be using Jacoco. So you will need a Jacoco plugin in order to run the code coverage. So if I come down, this is the plugin option. This is the line of code which you require. From where did I got this line of code? If you go on Jacoco official website, you can get this line of code from there. This line of code is nothing but it is downloading the Jacoco plugin version 0.8.6. It is preparing the agent. It is creating the report. It is getting the test report and it is generating the reports. And it is basically running the code coverage for you. I need this plugin section to be added in my POM file. Where exactly will you add? So inside your build, there is a plugin option. Just have to get this. Come down over here. There's no issue with alignments and all, guys, so it's okay. If your alignment goes haywire, even that is okay. This is XML file, not YAML file that you're with for alignments you'll get error. Okay, don't worry about that. So now this plugin is copied over here. Let me save this. Let me do a add. Okay, let me do a commit directly. This is an existing file. Added Jacoco plugin. Get push. Okay, my build pipeline should have triggered now. Perfect. No, I need to cancel this because code coverage will not work. Let's go and edit your build again. Now we need to add a code coverage task also over here. So what I'll do, go to Maven again, use this, pom.xml file, publish to Azure pipeline, test result, this is okay. Now this is the place wherein I need to have code coverage. Code coverage tool, I'll have Jacoco now. Okay, so Jacoco, rest everything I'll leave it as it is. Okay, that's it, just add it. Now if you see this, I got code coverage tool option Jacoco added over here. Okay, save it. It will automatically run, and this time I should have the code coverage reporting done also. Let's wait and let's see if my resources are deleted. See, it's deleted. This is just my container registry. This is something I'll cover later. But my web app got deleted. All thanks to the Azure CLI command. See, the Maven started running. This time Maven will also download Jacoco plugins and it will also run code coverage. Okay, keep that in mind. Anyone, any doubt? There are multiple things we did today, guys. Any doubt, any confusion that who will do what?
I'm just not quite sure what the code coverage does.
Okay, code coverage, I'll show you the report, you'll understand.
Okay.
So basically it is a gauging metrics. So it is basically checking how much line of code has been already covered by a JUnit test. So basically JUnit test is checking each and every functionality line of code of your source code of your application. So code coverage is checking whether JUnit, how much percentage of code has been tested. Like is your application 100% tested? Like the developer has written JUnit for all the scenarios. That is basically a metric, which is what code coverage tells. Let me show you, then you'll understand the report. Okay, now if I come down, do you see this is 61.11% covered? If I open this, now this is what basically it is telling. Your coverage is 40%. Okay, this is giving you a complete report. 52 out of 88 has been covered. and rest everything is missed. Now this is what it is showing. The missed lines, how many lines you have missed, how many methods you have missed, how many classes you have missed. So in the classes, we just had 3 classes. So all the 3 classes were covered by the JUnit. Remember, we got 3 test cases in my JUnit. So that 3 classes were covered. Methods, there were 7 methods in my application. Out of 7 methods, only 2 methods we have, 2 methods we have missed. We got 18 line of code. We have missed 7. Okay. Now over here we have 8. We got 2 missed. This is what it is showing basically. So basically it goes and check each and every line of your code in your application. It goes and check each and every line of your code. It checks whether we have covered each and every line with JUnit or not. JUnit because I'm talking about Java application. If it is .NET, I would have talked about VS tests. Okay, every application has their own way of testing. So let's talk about unit test cases. Okay, so basically this code coverage is checking if the developer has written all the test cases to cover each and every line of your source code or not. So this is a metric, give you an idea whether your code, that whether your source code has been tested thoroughly or not. Okay, make sense?
Yeah, thank you. So,
Now this
does Terraform have its own code coverage, or
no,
Ansible? No. Okay.
Terraform is the infra as a code tool, so that's a different tool altogether. For SonarQube can do the code coverage for you. Till extent Veracode also can do the code coverage for you. And we got Jacoco also. So these are the third-party tools which can do code coverage for you. Okay. And
Okay.
Terraform, there's no code coverage requirement. That's a different tool altogether. Okay, so this is code coverage, guys. This is a good to know knowledge. How do we integrate code coverage in my forms.xml file? This JUnit test cases will be written by a developer. That is not your concern. The only thing is, once you have the report, the code coverage report, this is 61.11%, which is not acceptable. You will have a criteria wherein the code coverage should be minimum, it should be 85%. Maximum, it could be 90-95% also, but minimum, it should be 85%. Now, with the minimum, when we have the minimum 85%, the criteria not met, I want this pipeline to fail. I don't want this pipeline to pass. Now, if you see this, the pipeline got succeeded, and we got the code coverage report, and we got the artifact also created. I can go and deploy it again, correct? Now, the next topic is how do I fail this pipeline if my criterias are not meeting me? If the developer is not meeting the criteria, I got a criteria that my code coverage should be 85%, and I got a criteria that my test results should be 100%. Now, how do I fail this pipeline automatically so that this build should not succeed and things should not proceed further? That is in reality what you will do. Now, for doing that, there's again a security topic which we need to understand and learn, is known as SonarQube. SonarQube is basically static code analysis tool. That is something we'll learn tomorrow. We'll understand what is SonarQube first from scratch. We'll set up SonarQube on a given server. So basically, I'll be setting SonarQube on Docker container, guys. I'll not teach Docker right now. Docker is something we'll do later. For now, I'll just set up Docker quickly and set up SonarQube on top of it. And then we'll integrate that SonarQube with our pipeline. So we'll have a service connection created with SonarQube server, and then we'll integrate with our pipeline. Then we'll see various things in SonarQube. Very important and very interesting. Now this is the place where things gets more interesting. Okay. Now that's it for me. If anyone has any questions, any doubt, please do let me know, or else we can wind up the call for today. I'll be sharing this complete Java application. I'll be sharing the documentation which I've used, the notepad. The notepad has everything in it. Okay. But I want you to do all this from scratch, guys. Don't follow what is there in the notepad. When you get stuck, then go and look into my notepad what exactly I have written. But make sure, try it by yourself. If you do it by yourself, you'll easily know, you can relate yourself that where I have to go and make changes. If anything fails, you'll come to know, okay, where to go and look for debugging and which step has failed. Okay, because if you simply copy my commands, it will work without any issue. Okay, makes sense. Anyone, any questions before we wind up? No questions, guys? I hope everyone is trying, because I'm not getting any assignments from you all. Plus, I'm not getting any issues from you guys. Hopefully, everyone is trying and there's no issues. Okay.
Are we supposed to share what we're doing?
Okay, you're doing, Victoria? Now you can share it with me. There is a Valaxy email if you want me to check it. If everything is looking good, then there's no problem. But
Okay.
yeah, if you want my assistance on your whatever you're doing, then you can definitely share it with me. There's no harm.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem, guys. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Bye bye. See you all tomorrow.